Hello, geometry students. Today we are going to be looking at section 11.2. You have some explorations to complete again in your student journal, beginning on page 319. It's kind of similar to 11.1, except that this time, instead of looking at circumference, you're going to be looking at areas of circle or parts of circles, which we are going to call sectors as a part of an area of a circle. So go ahead and complete explorations 1 and 2. Check your answers with the student journal notes that are in the folder in the chapter 11 folder in Schoology, and then we will continue with the 11.2 notes. All right, we have some vocabulary today, starting on page 321 in the journal. First of all, we have population density, which is how many people live within a given area, or population density is equal to number of people divided by the area of land. The other vocab term we have today is the sector of a circle. A sector of a circle is a region bounded by 2 radii and their intercepted arc. You can picture a sector as being like a piece of pie, right? If you have a circular pie, a sector is one piece of that. Formula for finding the area of a sector, we can use area of a sector divided by pi r squared. Remember, the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. And then we can have the degree measure of the arc over 360 makes up the other half of the proportion. So again, it's area of a sector over area of a circle equals degree measure of arc out of 360. So it's kind of similar to our arc length formula, only now we're going to be dealing with areas of a sector. All right, let's go ahead and look at extra practice on page 322. The first question we are asked is to find the area of circle R. All right, our formula for the area of a circle is A equals pi r squared. So in this case, we're given the radius is 7. So we're going to calculate pi times 7 squared, which would be 49 pi. And if you would like to simplify that, it's going to be that the area is equal to 153 point, and I'm going to round to the nearest thousand, so 94. And our units, this is area, so I have to remember to write meters squared. Notice it's the unit that's squared. Some of you put the squared by the number, but that would be a huge number. It's the units that are squared, not the number squared. All right, on number 3, it says find the area of a circle with diameter 1.8 inches. All right, we don't have an area formula with diameter, but we can use the diameter to find the radius. So if the diameter is equal to 1.8, then the radius is going to be equal to half of that, right? Remember, a radius is half of a diameter. So our radius is equal to 0.9 inches. So the area of the circle is going to be, nice, pi times 0.9. So then I get A equals 0.81 pi inches squared, or about, if I multiply that all out, I'm going to have 2.54 inches squared. All right, next. This time we are asked to find the radius of a circle with an area of 65. So we're working backwards. So remember the formula for the area of a circle. Is A equals pi r squared. And this time we know the area, we don't know the radius, so we're going to write 65 equals pi r squared. So our first step is going to be divide both sides by pi, because we're trying to figure out the radius, so we want to get the r by itself. So now I have 65 over pi is equal to the radius squared. So if I want to know the radius, to undo something that's squared, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I take the square root of r squared, and I take the square root of 65 divided by pi. And when I do that, I get about 4.55 centimeters. Notice it's not square units, right? We're just finding the radius. That's just one-dimensional length, so 4.55 centimeters. Make sure when you do the square root that you're doing the square root of this entire quantity, right? Otherwise your calculator is just going to go square root of 65 and then multiply by pi, so make sure it's all underneath the square root sign. All right, on number 7, we're finding the area of a sector, so we're going to use our new formula. So again, remember that that's going to be, we set it up as a proportion. We have the area of the sector divided by the area of the circle and that ratio is equal to the degree measure of the sector out of 360 degrees, right? Degree measure of the circles, 360. All right, so let's fill in what we can here, all right? We're trying to find the area of the sector. That's what we don't know. So I'm going to put X, all right, over the area of the circle. Well, I have a radius, so I can set that up as pi times the radius, which is 4, squared, is going to be equal to the degree measure of the sector, which is 140, right? Same as the central angle out of 360. All right, I'm going to do cross multiplication. This direction I get 360x is equal to this cross product, which 4 squared is 16 pi. So I have 16 pi times 140, right? Next, I'm going to divide both sides by 360. And I like to wait to multiply till the very end. That way I don't have any rounding errors. So that's going to get me that the area of the sector, that was X, it's kind of hard to read, sorry, is equal to, and I'm going to do all these calculations. I'm going to go 16 times pi times 140. I'm going to get that answer, and I'm going to divide by 360. So this 16 pi times 140 is about 7037, and I did a bunch of decimal points, so I was super accurate. 1675 divided by 360. So that's going to be equal to, I'm going to go ahead and divide that, and I get about 19.55 centimeters squared. And again, this is an area, so I do need to square the units. So the area of the sector is 19.55 centimeters squared. All right, on number 8, we're trying to find the area of the circle. So this, they give us the area, this A thing, 4.1 square feet. That's the area of the entire sector. So to set up number 9, I'm going to write The area of the sector, which I already know, is 4.1 over the area of the circle, which I'm going to just put, I'll just write it as area, and I'm going to go ahead and call it circle Y, since that's what they gave us, is equal to the degree measure of the sector, which is 25, over the degree measure of a circle, which would be 360, right? So again, cross multiply to solve. So I have 25, and rather than write out area circle Y, I'm just going to put a Y equals, and this cross product, I have 4.1 times 360. Again, I'm solving for Y. I want to know the area of the circle, so I divide both sides by 25. And I get that the area of circle Y is equal to, and I'm going to multiply 4.1 times 360 divided by 25. It gives me 59.04. And I look at my units, feet, and again, this is area, so I'm going to make it feet squared. All right, number 9 deals with our population density. So population density, again, remember, is the number of people divided by the area in which they live. So it says about 70,000 people live in a region with a 30-mile radius. All right, so they live in a circular region, and we want the population density. So the population density, I'm just going to call it P, is going to be equal to 70,000. Okay, we have a radius of 30 miles. That means it's a circular shape. So I'm going to have pi times 30 squared, right? Pi r squared. It's a circle. And if I do that calculation, I'm going to end up with 24.76. All right, but I want to make that make sense. So I'm going to say my population density, and we want to make sure we have our units in here. And what does this 24.76 represent? What is that number? Well, that's the number of people we have per square mile. So I'm going to make it about 25 people per square mile. All right, so 25 people per square mile is our population density. All right, this is a cool map of the United States showing population densities. In Idaho, you can see here, oh, that's Boise right there. All these dark areas here in Washington, that's Seattle. It's kind of fun to look at this population density map. Anyway, here's your assignment. If you're doing it by hand, these are the problems. Otherwise, these will be in Schoology. You can complete the assignment in Schoology and get your grade automatically. Remember, you get 3 tries per assignment. So if the first time you try, if you don't like your score, you can redo it. 3 more tries. Good luck. If you have any questions, email me. Thanks.